Thank you very much, Dr. Butle, for setting that background and understanding of the context of Africa, the history, as well as some of the current challenges that we have. I have been working with Africa Commons for the last couple of months as the lead researcher, and really to find out what is the current state of digitization in Southern and Eastern Africa. My presentation really is to look at the results and set the baseline for which Africa Commons will continue its work. Africa Commons is an online platform that seeks to help organizations to digitize, to disseminate, discover, and provide African cultural materials. In order for us to set the baseline, there was a need to establish a review and a needs analysis. And in order to do this, we sent out a survey, and the target, like I said, indicated was Southern and Eastern Africa. A desk review was also done to triangulate the results of the survey, and formal meetings and engagements have been done with different stakeholders. We had a unique reach out to 176 unique institutions, and the survey itself took about 10 to 15 minutes to complete. There were 3 rounds of reminders sent for the survey to the 176 institutions, and this was followed up by emails and phone calls. And the survey needed one to provide more of institutional details than personal details. We had an 11% response rate, which according to online survey results, it was quite a good result, considering, like I said earlier, that the survey itself needed one to complete it on behalf of an institution. These responses came from 9 countries, from Ghana, from Uganda, Lesotho, Ethiopia, Botswana, Eswatini, which is the former Swaziland, Zimbabwe, Liberia, and Namibia. When asked if the institutions had a digitization strategy, it was very good to note that a majority of the institutions indicated that they have a digitization strategy in place. However, having a digitization strategy does not mean that it is being implemented. So there was a need to probe further and find out in what ways these institutions and these countries require help to digitize the African collections. One of the most common responses was around insufficient funds to digitize the collections and to buy equipment for the digitization. Another need was around skills and capacity building for using the equipment as well as using the software associated and providing the post-production work and access to the collections. There was also need to understand what type of software is used to digitization and what are the options and what would best suit institutions. And the need to understand technical considerations of the digitization process. There were also needs around copyright issues. A number of African institutions and African countries affected by old copyright laws that do not include digital collections. As a result, it's very confusing for a number of African institutions as to how they digitize and then provide access to their collections. So there is need to understand each country's copyright law and how, in the context of the institutions, they can then digitize and provide access to those collections, making sure that they're aligned to their own copyright law in their country. Here in South Africa, the copyright law currently being used is from 1978 and does not include anything digital. And there's a current amendment bill that has been in Parliament for a number of years. So there is a lot happening, but it's taking its time. So there's a need to make sure that institutions understand their copyright laws and how, for now, they can digitize and make the collections accessible to their clients. There is also a need for understanding library management software and how it links to the digitized collections. The institutions were also asked in which subject areas their collections fall under. An array of subject areas, from presidential papers on African nations, engineering, history, medical, to management, geography, literature, sociology, mining. An array of subject areas was mentioned from where the collections are based. This is an additional set of subject areas, so it gets very specific. For example, Nguni states, so depending on the type of institution, whether it was an archive, a museum, a library, and what type of library it was, all these subject areas have been captured. On a very positive note, all the institutions were asked if they're still interested in, if they'll be interested to continue with African Commons and making sure that their collections are digitized through the Africa Commons project. And all of the institutions said that they are interested in digitizing their collections and working and engaging further with Africa Commons. Thank you very much. I'm now going to hand over to my colleague, Christian, who's going to take us through the rounding conclusion of where Africa Commons is going and what Coherent Digital's plans are for making sure that there is equity and access to Africa's collections. Over to you, Christian.